Hi, time for another stupid video. And I want to make a follow-up video to my last one where to be fair, I complain quite a bit about how other people never help me socially. And I mean, I stand by all the shit I said there, but I did get a little, I did put a little bit too much blame on other people there when, I also have to address like my own faults and weaknesses socially. Obviously, autistic male, not very attractive. I mean, there's that, but there's other things that I have more control over that, I don't really, I don't even want to change or don't want to address changing or any of that. So, well, first off, when it comes to male friends, I just don't have any interest really. And I've discussed that before. So when it comes other things, when it comes to women, I have to I have to admit that like my expectations are just like way too high on women. There was a comment on my page today from someone. He talked about how, he has like those romantic desires, and like for our generation, back in the 90s, like it was more understood to be, that it was more normal to have like these romantic feelings with women and like romantic relationships and all that stuff. And nowadays, like that's obviously changed. But I still adhere to those beliefs. And I basically just have those demands with women, If a woman like doesn't like desire me and she doesn't like really want to be with me and make things work, then it's like I just like, okay, then like whatever, go with Chad then. I mean, that's just like the reality of our hypergamous, women are hypergamous. And like once you take that women are hypergamous pill, there's no turning back from that. There's no turning back from that reality. And, it's a reality for a guy like me. Like I'm not going to be a woman's like top option ever. So once you come to grips with that, like, what do you do? So you realize like a woman is never going to be romantically interested in me like I am with her, where, I will idolize or like simp for women and like they're never going to do the same for me. But it's yet like I'm demanding that. And like I just don't think there's a way to like stop feeling like that. Like you can't really shake that. So there's that. And I think another thing with women is that like I have to understand that I'm not fully competing like a lot of other men are out there. I always bring up, status, looks, and money. Like that's everything when it comes to women. I do think there's more than that I don't bring up very often. It also matters like how much you're willing to give to a woman. And the thing is, like, there are men who are there's countless men who are more than willing to financially destroy themselves, like bury themselves in debt, pay endless child support. Like they're willing to like risk everything, like living like it's their last day on earth just to like pull a woman. There's countless men who are willing to do that. And I'm like the complete antithesis of that. Like I'm completely unwilling to do that. So it's like when you're in, strong competition against men who are willing to do that, well, how can I expect to win? Along with all my other, shortcomings. So, like, what am I supposed to expect? It makes me think of my my cousin Scott that I usually don't talk about. And he's Trisha's father, by the way. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. God damn it. My cousin Scott, he looks like me, probably maybe a little better looking than me. At least in his prime, he probably was. But he managed to marry and have children with a couple, like at least two, like really attractive women. Like one of them was a blonde who was like a legit like 6, 7 out of 10. And he's like a low tier normie. Well, how did he do this? Because Scott always, talked like the big baller, like he had a lot of money. He always like tried to sell himself as like some rich dude when he wasn't. And he was the type who was just like buying fancy cars and like a house above his means. He was like willing to bury himself in debt for a woman. And he got women. Now the women he got with are all a mistake. I remember the one I went to his, I think it was like his second or third wedding. And like everyone there was like, oh, well, this is going to be another mistake for Scott. And you know the way he is. Like people were saying, oh, they'll be divorced in like 6 months or a year. And then I believe they were divorced in like less than a year. The blonde woman like above his looks match. But, with all these women, that he married and it didn't last very long. Well, they decided to marry him and have kids with him. So, and he was willing to bury himself in debt, and he just didn't give a fuck. He lived like there was no tomorrow. And he paid. Boy, did he pay. I mean, he ended up, as time went on, he just got like really fat, turned into a drunk, paid like just stupid amounts of child support. He ended up like he had to work like 16-hour days. He had to work like multiple jobs, like just to stay afloat. And then he ended up like living alone, and now he has like a dog he never shuts up about. He's like old and fat and broken. But the thing is, like, maybe to him, maybe to Scott, all of that was worth it. Because he did at least get to experience, what it was like with, attractive women that, were willing to have his kids. Again, it was. Now, would I want that situation? God, no. Would I want to be in his shoes right now? Hell no. But he also got to experience things that I never did. So, and then of course there's a ton of other similar like situations out there. Like you look at a guy out there like Ethan Ralph. He's the right-wing grifter. I mean, he's like pure genetic shit, 1 out of 10. 5'1", grotesque fat pig, but he's pulling women like, again, like they're not like attractive really, but they're way above his league, and he's doing it. Well, I mean, in his situation, it's partly because of stupid online clout, but it's also because he's completely reckless and he just don't give a fuck. He lives every day like it's his last, and he's willing to spend every penny on getting these women. Even though he probably even realizes it's a mistake to begin with. And then he has kids that he just openly like doesn't give a fuck about and doesn't even try to raise. So I guess there's, the thing is like if women are going to be hypergamous and like they're not going to be loyal to you, well, then why the hell should you be loyal to them? It makes no logical sense. So yeah, you might as well just embrace being a fucking nigger. And, if that worked. But the thing is, like, I can't do that. I'm just not that way. I'm not built that way. Like, I'm a guy that just, I was raised to save all your money and be a cheap Jew and never bury yourself in debt ever. I've never been in debt in my life. Like I mean, shit, I'm on NeetBucks and I have more savings than probably like 90% of people out there. That's just the way I am, you know? And the thing is, when it comes to women, like, that's a negative. And I'm not willing to change that. So, yeah, and I got to realize, like, that's just a fault. And then, like, and it's like, I'm just not really willing to fight for women at all. Like, once I get, like, any sense that I'm not a woman's top option, like, I bow out. I was like, well, fuck it. I'm not gonna bother fighting this. It's a losing battle. I know women are hypergamous. I know that women are, all of them, and every one of them are. They're talking like a ton of other guys, and like, how the hell am I gonna win? So I'm just like, fuck it. I'm gonna save all my money. I'll just focus on my copes and I'll live comfortably. And I mean, you can't say that's wrong. It is what it is. Like, I'm not willing to bury myself in debt. Lots of men are, so. And obviously, like, women prefer the guy that's going to bury themselves in debt. I remember when Depressed Unwanted Man, he bought his motorcycle, and he financially fucked himself doing it. But like, if you go back to the comments when he did it, there were women in his comments saying like, "Oh yeah, go live life to the fullest, guy. Spend all your money, woohoo!" There were women in his comments saying that. You know where they are now? They're all gone. And now he's got left like a handful of like crazy women trolling him. But you know, I mean, like, that's the game. You gotta. That's the game with women. You gotta be willing to pay, and I'm not. I'm a cheap Jew. I'm a cheap, boring Jew, and it is what it is. And women don't like that. They clearly don't. So that's a fault of mine, and I'm not willing to budge on that. It's not that I'm willing to budge. Like, I can't change. Like, my Jew way is just like so set. I mean, I've lived this way for over 40 years. Like, I'm not going to suddenly be rash, impulsive dude. Just not going to happen. And it's like, even like the few times I went to bars and stuff in the past, you got to be that high roller type of dude to succeed there. You got to be willing to go there countless times, spend tons of money doing it. Like, say a guy like Hormaxer, like, he's more than willing to be that dude who's paying like hundreds of dollars just to get into a club, and then you got to pull these women by like sweet talking them and spending more money. And it's just like, nah, no thanks. No thanks. I'll pass on all that. Yeah, it's just. So when you know, a guy like me, like, I'm forced into a situation. In my situation, like, I need to be like really attractive, or I'm gonna have nothing that women desire, and that just is what it is. Because I'm not willing to fuck myself over. Like, just bottom line. So. You know, I prefer living comfortably with no debt and no real worries. I've never had real financial worry in my life. And that's unappealing to women. I mean, like I say, we live in clown world today, where, you know, the nuclear family unit, like, that's not encouraged anymore. Women aren't supposed to live that way. So women don't want stability. You know, as I say, like, I wage slaved for over 15 years. I did all that shit, and that's clearly not what women want. So, okay. I mean, it is what it is, you know? I'm not willing to be just some reckless, crazy dude willing to completely fuck myself over for you, because you want someone interesting. It's someone spontaneous, someone with a wild personality. Well, it's not gonna be me, honey. Oh well. Oh well. So yeah, I mean, like, that's a flaw with me. And it's just also that, like, I'm also, like, too honest for my own good. And that, you know, that's a common flaw with autists. I mean, as men, like, you got to be willing to play the game. You got to be willing to be, you know, the hotshot liar and sell yourself as more than you are. And again, like, that's just not me. I try doing that, and that's the kind of shit. If I try doing that, like, I'm just gonna be tired within like 5 minutes, and I'm just gonna want to go stand by the wall then. You know, as a man, you have to, like, sell yourself as confident and don't give a fuck, and you're strong and blah blah blah. Nah, that's just not me, dude. I say it like it is, and then it just, like, fucks me over. And even in today's society, as a man, like, you can't just say things how they are. I mean, we obviously can't today, especially on this YouTube platform I'm on. I mean, they just, like, openly accept clown world. I mean, shit. If you get a strike on your channel for hate speech, like, they make you take a course that effectively says there's groups of people you can insult and there's groups of people you can't insult. You, as a white man, everyone can insult you, and, like, it's fine. But if you insult other people, it's against the rules. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Clown World. You know, I talk about Clown World, and I don't think I ever really, like, define what it really is. I mean, Clown World to me is effectively a world based on politics, really identity politics that just go against all logic, and it's meant to discourage and beat down, like, specific sects. And I mean, pretty clearly right now, like, men, white men, that's what's happening. And that's also a reason why I just kind of don't want to socialize, because what the hell's the point? I mean, like, the law and society, like, it doesn't even hide that, like, there's special rules for specific people and not for you. It's like, why the hell would I even want to, like, socialize or even exist around others? Fuck that. But now I'm getting back into, like, blaming others in society. But again, it's like, I'm not willing to play that game. I'm not willing to play all these fucked up games that, like, men are supposed to play and ruin myself. You know? Like, I'm going to make the sound decision and not worry about money all the fucking time. Like, no offense to depressed, unwanted man, but, like, the last thing I want to do is have any financial trouble. Because then, like, that adds a whole hell of a lot of stress in your life. And as you see, like, it's affecting him. Like, I don't want to do that. Sorry, I don't mean to shit on you, James. I really don't. I love you, James. You know that. But, you know, it's just the way I am. I'm a dick. eventually I'm just going to shit on everyone. Hi, doggo. Roar, roar, roar. But, anyway, yeah, so I just want to like talk about my own shortcomings when it comes to social matters as well. And they're never going to change. So it's like, so I mean, if you really ask the question, like, Todd, do you really want to socialize? And the answer is like, well, effectively, no. Because I don't see the point. I don't think there's, I mean, especially in my age, in my situation, I don't think there's a woman out there is going to provide what I really want. And I think deep down, I've known that for a very long time. There's never going to be a woman that simps for me. I mean, obviously. There's never going to be a woman that deeply desires me and like really, really wants to make things work. That is, that's just not going to happen. So, and if it's not, well, you know, you throw in the towel and you rot. I mean, again, I mean, God forbid the people telling me, oh, let's go back out there and wage slave again. Well, the fuck is that going to do? Like, what? I'm going to meet a woman at work. That didn't happen for, I mean, dude, if that didn't happen in the 2000s, how the fuck is that going to happen now? And really, the only way to realistically make that happen is to work some shit like minimum wage job in a highly social area like a mall or retail or something. Imagine putting an autistic guy like me through that. Because I mean, that's the only job where you're gonna meet women. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna like make virtually, probably even less money overall than I can make now. And that's like the only way I can realistically meet women at like the job place. None of it adds up. Like none of it makes sense for me. So, yeah. That's the thing, like, it's just in my situation, none of it adds up and makes sense because I'm going to sacrifice a lot in dealing with a woman. And then other guys, like, just don't care and they'll never help me. Like, I get the occasional comment, you know, guys saying, like, oh, Todd, you know, I would go be your wingman at the bar and I'd help you feel comfortable. It's like, yeah. Yeah, that's one of those things I believe it when I see it. The reality is that you probably drag me to the bar and you'd be like, oh, hey, bro, I'll help you, dude. And then what are you gonna do? You're gonna see a woman and then you're just gonna like try to like mog me and like put me down. And you're just gonna try fucking the women there. And you're probably gonna be some dude willing to like spend like every dollar of his paycheck to do it. And I'm gonna be like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go home now. And then it's like all gonna be a waste. You know, the thing is, like, when normies, like, say these things, like, growing up, it's like, when I put myself out there socially, or I just did hard work or something, they'd be like, oh, Todd, doesn't it feel good that you did this? I'm like, no. Doesn't it feel good you went out there and socialized? Was it that hard, Todd? Like, yeah, it was hard, and it was pointless, and now I'm, like, really tired. I did all this shit and like there isn't a woman that loves me, so yeah, waste of time, waste of money, waste of effort. And no, I don't feel like I accomplished anything. Yeah, that's obviously where I'm kind of different than normies. Like my mom was like that all the time. She was like, "Oh, didn't you feel good that you did this? Like, I'm sure you did, Todd." I'm like, "No." "Oh, I'm proud of you, Todd. Are you happy you did that?" Like, no. Like, women don't like me, and now I'm really tired, and I got nothing out of the deal. So, oh, but mommy's proud of me. That's great. Awesome. Yay. So yeah, I at the end of the day, like, I just don't want to socialize. I'm kind of done. I mean, effectively, unless like a relationship falls in my lap, which is like never gonna happen. Like that's the only way it's gonna happen, and like it's not. So yeah, it's probably over. So that's it. Bye.